After that, now I will discuss the very significant part of my lecture, that is the third part and the last part, concepts and manifestations of the Engaged Buddhism. As we know, founded on the bedrock of traditional Buddhist concept, values and principles, the leaders of Engaged Buddhism attempted to find a solution to various problems commonly found throughout contemporary society. To resolve these problems or crises, they attempted to interpret, re-understand and reconstruct the concept found in Buddhist literature. In the course thereof, they also developed various responses and manifestations of applying Buddhism. The commitment of engaged Buddhists to rid the world of its sufferings by various means without ignoring the spiritual aspects of Buddhism is notable. By mindfully cultivating their insight, concentration and Buddhist virtues, they make themselves fit to engage with various social and political problems. Thus, there is an ever-present awareness that it is impossible to transform society without first transforming the individual from within. So, let us examine some foundational teachings, ethics and manifestations that shape engaged Buddhism. So, the first foundational teaching is dependent origination. It is called in Pali Paticca Samuppada. The teaching of dependent origination have historically been applied to the spiritual transformation of a personal nature. However, the engaged Buddhist also apply dependent origination, that is Paticca to the transformation of society. If there is something unwholesome or issue in the society and one wants to free the world, such as war, poverty, racism and casteism, then one should look into the causes and conditions that bring that into material existence and reflect on what action can be brought to eliminate or alter those causes or conditions. Engaged Buddhists often take this approach in their work. So, if we see the second foundational teaching of engaged Buddhism, that is the Four Noble Truths, that is called Chattari Ariya Satchani in Pali. The engaged Buddhists take a primary guidance from the Four Noble Truths and focus on social suffering. The engaged Buddhists take a dukkha to mean the suffering of all kinds, a spiritual and mundane. As their goal, they eliminate all kinds of suffering, including a spiritual ones. The engaged Buddhists also use the Four Noble Truths as a method of analysis. In this method, the first noble truth states the problem. The second noble truth analyzes and identifies the cause of the problem. The third noble truth points to goal that one hopes to reach, whereas the Four Noble Truths dwells on what one has to do to reach that goal. So, the next important foundational teachings of engaged Buddhism, that is no self, and it is called anatta in Pali. The philosophical idea of no self can be closely identified with the spiritual value of selflessness in traditional Buddhism. Engaged Buddhism has used this notion of no self in the bid for the development of human beings. According to Buddhism, chanda means will or wish is a fundamental part of human nature. That is the basic urge that all humans have to better themselves, humans are not fixed selves, but are constantly changing beings. Hence, we can and do develop. This is why the lack of a self in the human beings is a meritorious thing. If we were fixed selves, then we would not be changing or evolving, which provides an opportunity for betterment. So, after that, we see the fourth foundational teaching of Engaged Buddhism is the Buddha nature and precious life of a being. By using the Mahayana concept of the Buddha nature, the engaged Buddhists have stressed the importance of everyone's ability to attain enlightenment. Thus, there can create a wholesome and a positive state of mind which helps to end the feeling of inadequacy or shortcomings in frustrated persons. So, that is very important point. Now, we will see the next foundational teaching of Engaged Buddhism, that is the 5 precepts. You know, in Pali that is the 5 silas. So, the 5 essential precepts found in Buddhism are not to destroy life, not to steal, not to commit sexual misconduct, not to lie, and not to ingest intoxicants. According to the views of Engaged Buddhism, any group or individual who violates the norm of non-violent words and deeds cannot be considered an engaged Buddhist. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh's restatement of the 5 lay precepts or silas is the most explicit statement among the engaged Buddhists, which is imperative to express one's compassion and loving kindness in action. However, other engaged Buddhist leaders have expressed the same spirit in their unique ways. So, the next foundational teaching of Engaged Buddhism is meditation. Loving kindness, that is metta, and compassion, that is karuna, are cultivated through meditation. They are closely tied to the redemptions of freedom from the binding ties of selfishness and ego-centeredness. Through meditation practices, an individual beings concisely and actively caring more about the welfare of others. In Engaged Buddhism, social action and inner development are two sides of the same coin. Inner peace is essential to social activities. Thus, meditation helps people deal with long periods of intractable, frustrating, or dangerous conflict situations. So, after that, we look the 7th foundational teaching of Engaged Buddhism, that is reinterpretation and reconstruction of traditional ideas of karma. So, this is observation. You can find that karma theory is a crucial element in traditional Buddhist thought. It continues to play an essential role in the thinking and action of engaged Buddhists today. However, some engaged Buddhists have significant complaints about the idea of karma and the way karma is traditionally understood. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar criticized the traditional understanding of the karma theory and gave it is a scientific and social interpretation. Like Dr. Ambedkar, Aung San Suu Kyi from Myanmar and many other engaged Buddhists argue that the understanding of karma as a passivity is contrary to the teachings of the Buddha. Engaged Buddhist leaders have actively participated in the revival of Bhikkhuni Sangha in Sri Lanka and Thailand and tried to provide equal opportunities for a woman in Buddhist Sangha. Now, The conclusion of this talk, the first observation is, it can be observed that from the late 19th century to the present day, Engaged Buddhism has emerged as a form of Buddhist social activism that is based on Buddhist principles and values. It presents a new kind of social activism to find a solution to contemporary crisis. The ideas of no self and dependent origination constitute the essential foundations of Engaged Buddhism that provides a broad perspective to solve the problems of individuals and society worldwide. The ethics of Engaged Buddhism and its manifestations are free from judgmentalism, and they sincerely believe in non-violence. The innovative involvement of engaged Buddhists in contemporary problems has set an example for the world which is facing complex problems. So, thank you so much for your patience.